Welcome to our channel. We are Sophie and Philippe, two professional chefs and regenerative farmers. Currently, we're setting up our second regenerative farm in Portugal. On this channel, we take you along on the farm's development and we show you how we grow, cook and preserve nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown food. In a time where the food we're eating is literally killing us, the most powerful and impactful action one could take is to consume clean and delicious food. Let's grow it, let's cook it, let's do it.
Ja.
So, if you believe the internet, everybody else's life is always looking great. And in this episode, we thought it would be fun to take you along and talk you through some of the misconceptions about homesteading and some of the harsh realities. Besides, of course, all the other updates. All right, let's go to the greenhouse. I'll show you the little tomato experiment and talk about the first misconception. But first, coffee. Hello. Good morning.
Oh, coffee.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me get around here with all these vents. How are the animals?
Great. Everybody is fed. Nobody run away.
Everybody's alive.
Everybody's alive. Baby chickens are ready to leave.
This is also all very much looking alive. Looking great. Wow, this has really outdone me. Outdone my expectations. You know? Look at how alive that is. Didn't even suffer a little bit. Everything is looking very nice and alive, so that's great. Let's ask Philippe about this experiment.
Before we start with the misconceptions, I'm going to show you how it's going with our little experiment. For the people that are not up to date with our experiment, we did some mob seeding with the tomatoes and we did some normal seeding in the little pots with the tomatoes, and we're seeing the difference. And in our setup, this is the difference. So this has spent in the heat mats, germinated there in the little pots. We transplanted into this 7 by 7 centimeters or something bucket, and the tomato is like this. And these babies mob seeded, they're like 10 times the size of it. My conclusion is next year I will have to seed them a little bit later, so they will get transplanted on time down to the greenhouse. This year, because they are so big so early, I'm gonna let them be, I think, another 4 weeks more or less. We will see how big they are by then, but 4 weeks is my plan more or less. And I will put them down in the greenhouse. By then it's still gonna be very cold there, so I'm gonna put them under a fleece. And I'm gonna leave that time of adaptation to the greenhouse always under the fleece. Only after that I'm gonna put the trellises on and tomato season starts.
And I really feel like we've got a problem on our hands now, because these plants are so mature that transplanting them should be more or less done at this size, in my opinion, in order to remain as much of the root system, to keep as much of the root system intact as possible. So I'm almost tempted to say, you know, this batch is sort of lost and we should maybe mob seed everything once more and then transplant in the right time at the right size. It would also be interesting to maybe make this into a two-legged experiment and get everything out, or part of them out now, transplant them already and do what Philippe said to do, but do that immediately and then transplant the second batch and sort of see at which stage that stagnation really makes the most impact. Because of course the bigger the plant gets here, if we then transplant it to a new location, that plant will have a hard time regaining strength because we're going to have to break up quite a lot of the root system. I'm really curious to know what you guys are thinking about this. Would you transplant now already down to a colder area? Would you terminate this crop and mob seed again and do the experiment with a bit of a delay? Or would you do something completely different? We're keen to hear it. Drop it in the comments below. So, walking out of the spot where most of our future food is actually being grown, let's dive into the first misconception. And that is definitely that homesteading is cheaper and that your food will sort of be for free. Now, of course, there are expensive ways of doing things and cheaper ways of doing things, and that highly depends on your choices and your setup. But one thing is for sure, you are going to need a location, and you are going to need tools, and you are going to need time. None of these three things, unfortunately, come for free. Then come the real costs, and those are the continuous costs. These are things such as animal feed, compost, seeds, of course tools that break and need to be repaired, upkeep on your farm, which is continuous, and unexpected incidents that might occur. One thing is for sure, the easiest thing that one can do is overspend. And that is why it's important to always remember, is this expense actually going to have a return? Now, our setting is maybe not completely representable for somebody who just wants a homestead, because we're also running a business on our farm, so we are generating income. But my advice to anybody starting would be that you should always treat it as a business, even if you're not selling anything. This means that you should really think about your budget. You should calculate your expenses ahead of time. One of the biggest mistakes is to get animals onto your land and you didn't really take into consideration how much the feed cost is. One of the most common mistakes I see made is people getting animals onto their homestead before they really thought it through. Okay, there's of course the cost of your pig, but then once it's on your homestead, it's going to have to eat every day. How much do you feed it? 1 scoop, 2 scoops, 5 scoops? A lot of people don't really know these things and they just go with the flow. This is a great way to add up on your feed costs, and so weighing out your feed is one of those simple tricks that I would highly recommend if you want to keep your costs down. Did I just say 1 scoops? 1 scoop. Another thing is buying items that are quite expensive that you might actually not really need. So think twice before you purchase expensive things, weigh out your feed, make a tight budgeting plan, and just really look ahead and try to see what's coming. So yes, though your grocery shopping costs will go down, other expenses will come up. Think about that before you start. That's all I gotta say. It's only 1 week later, but it goes very fast and they're fully feathered now. At least the majority of them, and they're getting quite big for the trailer. So let's go and put them out onto pasture.
Close them up.
No, they didn't really care. They're just doing their own thing.
Let's look at them.
Little bored. Yeah, the biggest ones first. I have one. things already. Oh, look, look.
What does he have?
So, first catch. Oh, gone.
I would definitely say that one of the biggest second misconceptions about homestead life is that it's going to be calm, easy, and slow-paced. Now, mind you, there is a way to do this where you get a lot of those moments, but an overall description of the homestead lifestyle would not be that it's slow-paced, calm, and easy. On a farm or homestead, when you're trying to grow a lot of your own food supply, you're dealing with complex systems that are highly seasonal, and the season waits for no man. If you don't seed in time, you won't harvest. If you don't feed the animals in time, they won't gain weight the way that they're supposed to. If you don't move the sheep in time, they will overgraze and you're not having the desired impact on your soils. So basically, you're managing quite complex systems under time pressure and also with a financial strain. Because as I mentioned, budgeting is very important and managing a complex system on a budget is even more challenging. And if you think that life on a homestead will be easy, then I'm sorry to disappoint you, but think again. There's a lot of physical labor involved. There's the moving of the chicken tractors, adding of compost into beds, cleaning beds, planting beds, seeding your trays, moving your sheep. Basically, you are constantly in service of getting these jobs done, and a lot of those jobs need your body's strength. Some seasons are easier than others, and sometimes the physical strength needed is actually really quite painful. But you know, what doesn't kill you makes you grow stronger. Another thing that happens on the homestead is that you have to be prepared for the unexpected. Now, everybody managing animals and plants knows that there will be some unwanted surprises along the way.
One of the things that can go wrong, for example, a hailstorm in May. That's the worst nightmare of every gardener. It's something that you can not imagine until it happens to you. You come in the morning, you look at your plants, and there are no more plants. Everything is shredded to the ground. Terrible.
Another added complexity is that when you're managing your farm, it's hard to find people that are able to take care of it. And you need a lot of trust and training before you can leave your farm in other people's hands. And even when you do that, sometimes, unfortunately, systems can malfunction and bad things like losing an animal or a crop can still happen.
The garden is looking lush and everything seems to be thriving. Even though the sun has been out, the swamp is still there and the tadpoles are growing strong. No backlegs detected just yet. Furthermore, the first potato plant have popped their heads and we are contemplating another garden extension. Now that we have the manure mixed with the wood chips, we mow a little of our grass in order to add these vital nutrients to our compost system. If you want to understand more about composting, we have an in-depth explanation video on it.
Chard. A lot of people's enemy, apparently. So let's make something delicious with it. This is sort of usable like spinach. So let me show you one of the things I like to make with it. It's going to be a quiche-like dish, and I'm going to use the flaky pastry that I also used for the quince pie, except that I'm not going to add any sugar into it. So let's go. And oh, I'm also going to try to make it with chicken fat instead of with butter, because I'm just curious how that's going to turn out. Normally I would make it with butter. So if you want to be sure, make it with butter. I'll let you know by the end of this recipe if the chicken fat was a success. Let me get out all my utensils. Want to keep those pans clean. Okay, I'm going to start off with the dough. And that is going to be done in a jiffy because I'm going to use my Maggi mix. 2 cups of flour. Chicken fat. Now we're going to blitz that. Bring that together. Done. That was simple, right? I'm gonna pop this in the fridge 1 sec. I'll make a disc out of this. Then I'm going to pop it in the fridge for a moment. I'm not even going to cling film it, it's going to be 10 minutes. So I'm going to make a pie-like dish, and the best trick that I find works really well to make sure that the flavors stay great is by frying the individual ingredients separately and then only combining them at the very end. Otherwise everything sort of tends to come together, but not in the nicest of ways. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to fry everything individually.
To feel in heaven when my lover's near.
Train this arm.
Lord,
Alright, this is gonna cool down.
Last for another year. Though today has ended, the night's still young, I'd say. Lover.
Alright, these are also done. Hopsagay.
Let it be the thing that I am longing for. Let's fly out from Manhattan to the California shore, just to watch the ships at night on the San Francisco Bay. Oh, lover, please, please stay.
Well, chicken fat is definitely less easy to handle than the butter because the butter firms up much more in the fridge, of course. That was to be expected.
Stop the clock on Central Station and we can have a drink downtown. Let it be the night that I am longing for. Let's fly down south to...
I'm just going to fill it, so I'm going to finish the filling now and then bake it at 220 degrees Celsius.
On a hot, wet summer's day. Oh, lover, please, please stay. Yeah.
Let's assemble.
Don't say you have to go. Don't say you need to run. I'll stop the clock on Central Station and we can have a drink downtown.
I willed you to do that in my mind. I was like, homophones. They're right in that moment.
I heard it. So, now that we are alone, me and you, let's talk about serious things.
So let's ask Philippe, why does he homestead? Philippe, why do you homestead?
Well, I do it because I get to eat excellent food, prime quality food. I do it because I can spend most of the free time with my kids outside. I do it because I love to be outside. That's one of the main reasons. I don't do it because it's easy. I don't do it because it's slower. I don't do it because I don't know. I love to do it.
That's why you do it.
That's why I do it. I think you have to be extremely passionate about it to do this because this will take the last drop of sweat out of your body. And for you to keep yourself sane and healthy, you really need to run the miles without getting tired. This means being passionate about it. If you do what you like, you never get tired about it. But I understand that definitely this is not the life for everybody. But yeah, I think people that like it should try it and just give it a go. You love it.
Even though we're pointing out all the things that are challenging about this lifestyle, for us, they don't necessarily feel that challenging because I think it's a lifestyle that we look for. And I think when it comes to managing complex systems and having to organize and juggle a lot of things at the same time, I think that's something that we both enjoy and that we strive for and thrive in. I also think there are some benefits to this lifestyle that shouldn't be overlooked. So I think, for instance, the being active physically every day is probably what we're made for as humans. I think it's probably much more healthy to do this than to be relatively inactive with your body. I think that helps your mind, and I think that growing food without chemicals and with respect for nature gives a sense of pride as well. It gives a sense of meaning to your life. So I think that's very important. And I also believe that being close to nature is really good for your own sense of inner power. I know that sounds a little bit vague, but the best way that I could describe that is by explaining how I feel about health and how I feel about our bodies in general, because I think that we have seen so much struggle. We've seen so many animals suffer, and we've seen so many plants with diseases that they both came out on top. So there was a situation in which, from the outside looking in, you were thinking, oh my, this is not going to end well. And then a few days later, that animal or that plant just had recuperated and basically survived, and then later on in the process even thrived. And I've seen many piglets being born and sheep being born, and that just gave me a lot of confidence. I think it gave me a lot of confidence because it made me feel, well, if that's possible in nature and I am a part of nature, then also my body is extremely capable and strong and resilient. And so with that knowledge, I just go to bed safe and sound. And also I think for the people out there that aren't necessarily made to homestead, that doesn't mean, of course, that you can't find that contact with nature elsewhere by just submersing yourself in it in walks and just visiting other places and visiting other people's farms. And on that note, there are plenty of young starting out farmers starting all over the world right now that need support. So everybody can in some way contribute and also feed themselves with nutrient-dense, delicious food. All you have to do is find your local regenerative farmer, go there. They love to talk to people. We've not met any farmers yet that don't have an open farm policy and that don't love receiving people and telling them their story and showing them their places. So that's something that we're very passionate about and excited, and I think we also in some way want to play a little part in that by promoting other regenerative initiatives.
Other fellows.
Shall I talk about the series?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Okay, guys, that was it for another episode. See you next time. Farming Chefs, peace out.